Hi guys, it's Andy here. Sorry I haven't posted for a while any video updates on the Godot Defender clone. But there was a lot of changes I'd made and updated, mainly in regard to the structures. So if we play the game, these are the structures here. And I've added a head-up display, a mini-map kind of thing to show where we are when we're flying around. But let's return to the structures. These are going to, normally they sit on the terrain flats. I'm calling these positions flats, and these enemies are going to descend from the sky there, and they're going to pick up the inhabitants, the people that are in buildings like this kind of building. Trying to stop that. Anyway, it will lift up the buildings and try to capture the people from the planet, and then this plane can shoot at the enemy that is doing that, and if it blows up the enemy will release this, the enemy will be gone, and the building will start to fall down as a kinematic body. And the plane can swoop in and collect it and then put it down on a spare flat place like that. And these ones like this gas tank will be energy resources, so the enemy will try to extract the energy. And I'm thinking about, as the energy depletes, the color will change from green and fade to red, and when it's red the energy is gone, but this thing isn't destroyed. It will, as time goes by, it will build up the energy, right? But the game is over when all the people are gone, when they're all dead. All the buildings are taken, all the energy has reached zero, so the population cannot survive any longer. So let's have a look at the code for the structure. The structure object is, let's have a look at the scene for it. Click on that, and it's derived from a sprite. So we call it structure, the sprite, and then it's going to have a kinematic body 2D, which allows it to interact with the physics engine. So mainly it will be about moving and responding to collisions, and there's a collision shape around this as well to surround it, so it will be able to detect things going into its space, such as the plane or an enemy. And the script that is attached to it has become, given it a class name as before, of structure, and there's an acceleration factor for gravity, because it's not a rigid body, it's a kinematic body, so we're not going to use the full physics on it. There's going to be some enums, such as there's going to be two types of this structure. There's going to be a building or a resource. Unfortunately, the name resource is a keyword in the GD script already. Maybe I'll need to change that at some stage. Anyway, the structure type gives us the ability to specify which one it is. Does it, because resources are drained from the surface, like the amount of resource is drained, the energy is drained, but buildings will be picked up to capture the people inside of them. And the states of this node will be static, like it's stuck on the ground, on the terrain. It's falling from the air towards the earth, or it's connected to the enemy is taking it away, or it is with the player. The plane has grabbed it from the air and is trying to put it down on the terrain again. Then we have our export variables for the title or description, and this type I mentioned already, and the energy value associated with it, and the population if it is a building type. So the variables here, body, shape, these are just references to the kinematic body and the collision shape, and the state variable there. And here in the ready function we capture the body. In the physics process, this is how the the movement is handled with the kinematic body. So we say if the state is falling, like it is wanting to move, then we adjust the value of the velocity. We make it accelerate due to the gravity value there, times by delta. That changes the vertical velocity, the y component of velocity. And then the way to do it in kinematic body is to go var collision equals the kinematic body and move and collide. Then if there is a collision, this collision value will be true or set to something, a collision object, rather than null. So if it's a collision, we're going to stop it from moving, set velocity y equals 0, and change the state to states.static. And there's probably going to be some more game logic put into this later, but this is the core of it for this structure scene. And moving on, we've got the structures, and this is the autoload. It's a factory for providing structures. If I click on the code there, there's a function called generate, which returns a random child of this structure scene, and it may return the apartment or cylinder or the gas or the office. Before I just had sprites, I think, and now I've added these these are actually structure types. You can see, hover my mouse there, and it's a type structure like we just defined there. That's the structure, and the structures has child components of them. So the first one is apartments, and we have our apartment block as the title, and the structure type is set to building rather than resource, and energy 0, and population. See, our export variables provided these values of energy and population. Check it back there in the code. See, we exported energy and population. And the way we get the sliders is to do this kind of thing there, as explained in the docs under export variables, under exports. Going back to structures, we have, so each one we've attached a kinematic body to this one, the structure, and then we have a collision shape 2D, and it needs a shape. We've made them a rectangular shape because that surrounds see, it's invisible at the moment. If we make that one visible, it changes a little bit in the color. So to change that shape, we dragged around these node points there to make it surround the image of the structure. So we don't want to see that collision shape shown all the time. No, still in the same. This one is a little bit different. It's got a bigger shape to it. So click on make unique, which I've done already for this one, because that one is unique and the shapes associated with these three are the same shape. So I didn't click on make unique. So these three use the same resource rather than having the individual ones. But this one has a unique resource because it is a different shape. So that's structures. Looking at the structures code, we have, it extends a node 2D, and then we have a test function, which on the ready function, if test, we iterate 8 times and just print out generate to check it generates a new one. Then otherwise, because they're all visible at the moment in the main scene, look, in that corner there, top left, they are showing up. It's because they are visible. So because I have test equals true for this structures script, and then if we set it to false, it'll make the top node of this invisible. So it will do that. And then if you run it, you don't see them anymore. That's another way to do it, isn't it? And it won't print out. So anyway, And then what else we got? We got get item with the input of the point and grid size. So this is getting one of these structures, and it generates it first, and then it changes the position because it wants to be aligned with the right place to place onto the terrain, which is a slightly offset position. So guys, I think I've covered the basics of the structures and the structure. And in the scene of there we have the apartments, and there is this title of apartment block, a description which is optional to fill out, and a selection of a building or resource type of this structure, and an energy value you can set, and the population of people in there, the Godotians that inhabit the building that the aliens are after. So hopefully you enjoyed that post, and I will see you in the next video where I'll talk about the next thing, which is probably more about collisions and putting like static bodies and collision shapes on the scene. Okay, see you in the next video. Cheers.